Hello everyone, Habili Talks here, and in the second episode of Bits and Beers. In my case, it is a wine, but I ran out of beer. Well, my guest is having a proper beer. I told him that we were going to have a beer, but it's a long time since my last episode that I forgot to buy some in the supermarket. So that's my bad. So I have only wine, but it is what it is. So let me start with a very provocative question. Should a robot be a legal person? I don't have any idea. But in theory, my guest, which is a PhD student in this exact area, knows the answer. So I have the pleasure and the honor to be talking with Mauricio Kimura, a researcher at Waikato University. Welcome, Mauricio. How's it going?
Very good. Abilio, thank you for inviting me for this talk. I enjoy your previous talks too. Very informative. And let's dive into it.
Nice,
Thank you.
nice, nice, nice. Good to have you here, and congratulations for the level 2 in Hamilton. I know that you guys now have a freedom to go wherever you want. We still don't have this in here in Auckland, but yeah, we will get there. Sumi, before we jump into the topic, uh, um, should a robot be a legal person? Is that your research question, research work? Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Exactly, Abilio. That's my research question. Should a robot be a legal person? That's a question people keeping asking everybody, and movies are depicting the robots as people. So they are like friends, sex bots involved, so many issues, ethical, moral issues. So do we think people should consider robots people too? That's a good question.
Nice. And
Still looking for the right answer too.
isn't that to like science fiction movies? Is that a real thing? Like people are asking these questions. Companies are building projects according to this. So
Yeah, if you think about the future, science fiction is based on future steps of the science. How is the science going to see how things will work? So in this, the conception is simple. If you think about the past, the development of science shows that it keeps going more and more advanced.
mhm.
So movies are one of the best ways to compare the past, the present, and the future. So yes, science fiction movies are my inspiration to go into this subject. So I think, yeah, because in the beginning, if you think about Jetsons, remember Jetsons, the cartoon?
Yeah,
Remember that robot, Rose?
old enough to remember those. Yep,
Yeah, that's about our time.
yep,
So back in the day, they treated the Rose as a member of the family. She
exactly.
has name. You know, a robot with name. So it start with that. If you put something put a name in something that you care about it, so it means that you have a kind of sentiment, or the thing is sentient in the sense that, oh, I give a name. So should I treat like somebody, a
So
member of my family?
so does that mean that a robot's not a person? Robot's a person, not a property. Is that what you mean?
That's a good concept. Yes, if you think about the origin of the humans, in the past, only the white men, some white men were divided into two categories, slaves and free men, right?
Yep.
The rest were property. Women were property. Children were property. And later on, slaves were traded as a property.
That's a property.
So,
Yep.
yeah, in the beginning, some categories of people were treated as a property rather than people. So that's why the law said, okay, it is time to make a division. who is property and who is a person. That's why the name legal person came up
Mhm.
to define what it is and what it isn't.
And what are your findings on your research about it?
Well, that's something that I'm still going into, but I can give you some hint.
Okay.
Okay, what is a person? First of all, person is not only human, right? Encompasses also non-human things like corporations. Corporations are called also legal persons. And here in New Zealand, a river, the Whanganui River, was considered a legal person for the eyes of the law. So they get protection. They can the river can sue other people, rather other legal persons, or also natural persons. We are natural persons because we came from nature, obviously.
Okay.
So there are many kinds of legal persons. So in this case, we got animals trying to be legal persons, like monkeys, advanced monkeys, whales. People are fighting the rights of whales, and recently in Colombia, the hippopotamus who belong to the deceased Pablo Escobar, they are fighting to survive. So Americans also put a injection saying, "Oh, don't kill those hippos because they are considered legal people, legal persons."
Okay.
So that's something that is coming in different areas. So
Yeah, indeed. And
it's
but what my question, well, again, nothing against human rights to everyone. That's not what I'm about to ask. But your example about the river. So why do we need to consider a river as a legal person? Why do we need that?
good question, Abilio. Here in New Zealand, rivers, they are kind of sanctities from the indigenous people perspective. So
Okay.
they thought, okay, we need to protect the nature. Because here in New Zealand, the Maori people, they valorize the nature, mountains, rivers, everything related to nature. So they said, the government said, okay, we need to give a more broad protection. Not only say it's not only about cutting trees or polluting the river. It's about getting right to the river. So the river, if somebody harms the river by polluting, cutting the tree around the banks of the river itself can sue the person who harmed the river by having not of course the river is a is not a human being, but there are humans behind the river. So the
Or
crown,
representing the river legally, right?
exactly. So the iwi, the tribes are part of it's kind of a corporation. So the river is a kind of corporation.
Hmm.
Under that, they have the directors, let's say, kind of to make it easier. So one of the directors would be the crown and the iwi, the tribe, somebody from the area, and then
Hmm.
somebody from other part of the government, like the Department of Conservation, for example.
Okay.
So they belong to this body, so they can represent the river, so the river can sue people the same way as the corporations.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That's surprising for at least for me. Um, I mean, that drives me to well, thanks for clarifying that. I really appreciate it. But I mean, where do we draw a line between a natural human being and an artificial one? I mean, I'm not saying that a river is not is doesn't have the rights to be a legal person, but I understand that in a way this is more like a comprehensive manner of protecting that river, which is a sacred thing for the locals. And I get that and I respect that. But moving forward, I mean, where do we draw a line between a natural being and an artificial one? Is that line will exist in the future? So how do we differentiate? At some stage, we need to differentiate what is natural and what is not from the real thing point of view, isn't it?
Exactly. Because when we talk about natural, the division between natural and artificial, if you think about it, natural is everything related to the nature. So if you think about it, animals and rivers belong to the nature. So they should be natural people, but they're
True.
not. So natural persons are only the human beings. So other
Okay.
than that, they are artificial because they are created by humans, like corporations, the river protections, this,
Mhm.
the
Yes.
other entities, including ships. You know, ships and airplanes, they also consider legal. They are also legal persons because they have their all. The ship itself is
Mhm.
the proper of the ship is the legal person itself. So it's hard to draw a line. So now we know, okay, I'm a human being. This is, let's say this is somebody else. This is a company. So I can see Sapporo is a company. And Mauricio Kimura is it's a natural person.
Okay.
Natural and artificial. But when we talk about artificial intelligence, then the line becomes blur. Because sometimes, I mean, in the future, people say by 2035, 2040, which is like 20 years ahead,
Mhm.
it's going to be hard to divide. It's hard to identify who is a artificial person and who is a natural person, because it's going to be like incorporated artificial intelligence in the form of humanoid robots. And how are you going to identify who's who? I don't know too.
Oh, yeah.
If you consider the movies, then that's
I
gonna be
I did see that coming. Yeah, for sure. And the movies, as you mentioned, in movies and cartoons, they kind of play with this concept of futuristic concept, but the facts are real, right? So we already have real things using uh, machine learning and deep
natural
learning,
language.
natural language, and interacting with human beings and get information from them. And it is it's not only movies, right? So that's real thing, and it is happening today. And we interact with these new humans, let's put it this way, new legal persons every single day. They don't I never heard that they could be prosecuted, legally prosecuted, but at some stage it will get there, right?
Yes, because let's say if you consider a robot just an appliance, like a vacuum cleaner, for example. So if it's
Hmm.
only appliance, only an object, only a property, you can do whatever you want. It's your property. You can kick, you can dismount, you can burn,
Yes, yes.
destroy whatever you want, because it's only appliance. However, when they become a legal person, you cannot do that because legal persons they have rights, responsibilities, duties, and then you cannot just kick a robot. Like if you kick a robot, it's like kicking a human being. So you can be
Okay.
prosecuted. You can go to jail if you kill a robot because killing. If you kill somebody, it's a murder. So
And
there are
that's
legal.
it. But well, I work with artificial intelligence in my company, and we see the evolution of the algorithms and the neural networks, and how to we talk about augmented intelligence, way more comprehensive than artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence states repeating with success lots of operations that a human could do, and where augmented intelligence is where you get the insights from, right? So imagine that I have uh, uh, tons of data to analyze, and I get a conclusion of that. Just like you were doing in your PhD, you probably read a stupid amount of books, and you're getting into a conclusion. You had your conclusion about it. So and that's way advanced. And until now, only humans could be able to achieve that. So by what you're saying now, the computers, the robots will doing that. They can be considered.
Exactly.
Yeah. However, tricky question for you. If I program a robot to do bad things,
Yeah, good question. People can do things for good and for evil.
yep.
If you, okay, let's see the level or the degree of responsibility when you talk about legal people, legal person. If you program, you are responsible, right? That's simple as that.
Okay.
Now, if the machine, the robot is a legal person, it or she, let's say, like, let's put she or he. If she wants to obey your programming, that's fine. If she obeys, she can get half of the responsibility. You get half, and she gets half. Now, if she refuses, because according to her algorithm, whatever you say is wrong. If it's wrong, cannot be accepted. Let's say about those three laws of the computational laws. Do not harm people. If your rule says you wanna kill somebody, you can order the robot to kill. The robot will say no because it's against my programming. Now let's see something about more trickier than that. What if somebody hack the robot? So they reverse engineer the programming, and the
Hmm.
robot now start killing people. Who's going to stop the robot? So the
Yeah.
robot could be destroyed. Yeah, if it's harming people, yes, it could.
And
Or
one other thing, I guess that um, when you say about the law number one, don't harm humans, uh, um, that tells me that okay, um, that rule is a kind of racist from the human point of view. I'm teasing you here, but that rule is racist because that rule apply for robots, not for humans. Because
that's true.
as a human, I have the free will of doing stuff.
Yeah, that's why there is a law. The law is there to prevent you or to punish you if you do something wrong. And that's the role of the law. Now, that's why we need to set up a framework, a legal framework to include robots too. So robots cannot do harm. If they do harm, they have like the penalty to be destroyed or have to pay a fine if it's a tort.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they should have something to include them within society. So that's the legislative part of the governments, how to include those new beings within the societal setting. That's something
Yeah.
that people are still struggling to find a way.
I can't imagine. I'm struggling to understand. So because for me is way far away to consider. And also, if it is a person, it can't belong to anyone, right?
Yes, that's true. If it's a legal person, actually, there are two ways in my research. I am looking at the how to ascribe legal personality. One, if you set up a robot as a corporation. So if this model works, they should have shareholders. So those shareholders will control the robot. So the robot cannot do whatever they want to do. They have to obey the instructions and the minutes, whatever they set in those meetings. This is one model. The other model is a completely independent legal person. So the robot itself will learn, will self-program from the environment they're in. So
Okay.
if this happens, if it becomes a total legal person, like Ex Machina or the series Westworld, when the machines just get off of control. They start thinking by itself. They don't even know they're thinking by itself. So it's kind of so when they get to that point, then they're gonna be without any human in the loop. When that happens, nobody knows what's gonna become of us because they're gonna control everything. That's why we need a charter, like a human, like they have the United Nations human rights. We should have a United Nations robotics rights, where people could look at that and say there are limitations. How to implement those in all those countries. That's something that people still look into it.
Wow, wow. Let me pick this hook on a hypothetic example where a robot, an artificial intelligence system is driving a car, and suddenly it needs to choose from two horrible options, like children versus old people, or even destroy the car that is that the robot is driving, maybe killing the passenger, to protect the students from crossing the streets or anything like that. My point is, uh, uh, who who does make that call? And furthermore, what are the legal consequences of that? Not only about the insurance, but it involves if it involves an fatal accident where people were killed. Uh, what about the liability, culpability? Did you get to any insight on these example?
Sure. This is the common trolley problem. How to divide the responsibility. How to find or how to evaluate the life of somebody else beside yours. So let's say you buy a car. Let's think about Tesla. Simple as that. Autonomous car. They consider it as a robot itself because they have sensors all over the car, better than humans. People say that if you have sorry, if everybody had a Tesla car, the accidents will be reduced by 90%. Imagine that. So it would be the best for the humanity. However, if you buy this Tesla car, you yourself can program the car to say, you can put some algorithms in the car that says, okay, if you see two people, if you have to choose between killing an elderly person or a child, please choose to save or to save the child and kill, of course, the old person. This is one instructions you can give. Or you can give, oh, if it's my relative, regardless of the age, you preserve its life and kill the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can program, or you also can program, okay, also keep me alive regardless. Don't kill me, please, car. Keep me
Yeah,
never,
sure.
because yeah, that's something that you as an owner you could program. However, Tesla, for example, if the car identified the person in front of it as what's the name of the owner of Tesla? The
Uh,
the, the
Elon
person
Musk. Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. If you see Elon Musk, don't kill him. Yeah, it could be the
Well,
inside
yeah,
programming.
that reminds me from Robocop when they did a new program on the robot, and he was with these
Exactly.
internal conflicts with too many laws, too many rules to obey, and yeah, that's pretty intense. That reminds me from one day not so long ago. I was driving to Hamilton, and I like to use auto cruising, and the car just do if it sees another car, another vehicle in front of me, it will follow in a safe distance, but it starts raining a lot. And suddenly the auto cruising sent me a message say, yeah, I can see nothing, so it is on you. Done. So it was funny because that resulted in like a 30 minutes conversation with the car company when I was doing a complaint, and because I was thinking that uh, um, it was based on sensors, the auto cruising, but it is based on camera. So
Okay.
it is image recognition. So I take actions based on that, and take actions based on security and if I can see a thing. And after 30 minutes, of course, I understood about the process, but the manufacturer support team was telling me, hey, if it is a strong rain, heavy, almost a tornado or something like that, you shouldn't be driving in the first place.
Oh my gosh.
And he caught me on that one. He caught me on that one because that's true, right? As humans, as human, you you you're not perfect. You have your background, you have your history that drives you to what you are today. And picking a computer that is trying to do that job, of course, will be way different from that, right?
Of
So
course, imagine if you drive your same car and before you drive, you have to do a breathalyzer to see if you drink or not. If you drunk, you cannot drive because the car will be programmed not to be driven by drunk people. Imagine that happening in the future.
yeah,
I
no,
think it
well,
does. Yeah.
that's why I don't like to drive anyway because I can't if I can't drink, yeah, for sure I will not be driving. So
That's why I think autonomous car is the future. So you can just relax. You can call your Uber autonomous car. They're gonna pick you up without any driver. Don't have to talk to anybody. You can drink. You can do whatever you want in that.
there were some pilots about very similar to this, very similar to the scooter as a service thing that we have here, and and uh, it intended to be autonomous. So if you see a car, you search for a car around you. You just sit on the passenger seat, and your address is already recognized by the car. The car just drive you home. Done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Um,
That's the future.
but we're not talking about only cars, do we? Are we? We're talking about also simple things. Let me show you an example. Um, like bank loans. I want to to make a decision on if I will borrow money or not. And behind that, I really want to ask you is about bias. I understand that human decisions usually are made based on few decision points. Fair or
Yeah,
not, but they are there, right? And let's put it this way: you don't need to go far. Simple systems to decide a bank loan, right? Uh, um, how do we? How do we? How are we sure if those criteria are fair and just? And
yeah.
how do you accommodate this need of someone needs to define what is correct and what is not, so the robot will repeat that as a reality, right? So how does that work?
Yeah, that's a good question, Abilio. Because robots, they don't follow the moral thing. They don't know what's wrong and what's right. They just know what it is programming.
Yeah.
However, think about your example about loan. So you fill up the form, the bank's gonna ask you your name, your age, how much you earn. But when they start asking which nationality, how your race, what
If
else? If you're
anything, yep,
married,
yep, yep.
if you have kids, how many kids. So they start like filtering your answers. So they're defining the bias according to your answer. That happens in those judgments, but because some judgments in United States they are done by computers. So they calculate the amount of years somebody's going to be in prison according to the profile they capture during the
Mm,
judgment. So if you're like, for example, if you're black or if you're Latino, you're gonna be more, gonna spend more time in prison than a white person. So that's something that it should be not be there. It should be free from bias. But who the programmers wants to make sure that okay, the judge need more information. They need to base their decision on previous cases, precedents, and sometimes precedents are not fair. So things that the common law can keep repeating and repeating, repeating. So to break that circle, I don't even know. But robots, artificial intelligence should be free from bias. That's something that the European Union is trying to
true.
implement in their policies to make sure that it's going to be fair and equitable. How it's
Okay.
going to work, I don't know, because the companies like banks they rely on those data to make their decision. And according to their own studies, our analysts they hire millions of people to look at those figures. They're gonna find out that their data is better than the government data. So they want to rely on their own data, or they're gonna buy it from somebody, from Facebook and
Yeah, yeah. And that's the bit because bank is a company where it needs to drive profits, right? But we can extend this example for governments issuing work visas and permanent resident visas for for immigrants working in a foreign country, for example. And my point is, it is not 100% a computer behind. There is a human touch on that because someone needs to decide, someone needs to tell the computer that, hey, we don't want this kind of person here and we want that kind of person. So that's, I don't know how you do get rid of this. I guess that idea that you were talking about, like a board or a trust, where people debate and get a common understanding on what are the ethical values, on what are the moral values that we're trying to prosecute to try to proceed as a species and move forward with them, and then we replicate that for the machine. I don't know how would that work.
no, it's a very hard topic. It's hard to make a call because when you talk about money, companies need to make profit. So they might be doing immoral things in the name of their shareholders.
Yep.
And you know the drill. The more you give back to them, the better the company is. So let's give you the example of Watson. Watson is like you can apply Watson in business and also in health industry. Let's say now that Dr. Watson has a huge database of cases, of diseases, of diagnostics, whatever, and you ask it, hey, do you see this image? What do you think it is? And the machine says, oh, it looks like it's 99% chance to be a tumor. And you as a doctor have to just press, yes, I agree, no, I disagree. Who be the doctor to disagree with
With
Watson Yeah, because if it,
1,000 cases studied and analyzed by a computer. Yeah,
in
I
5 minutes,
see your
let's say
point.
5 minutes, you will take months to find out. A computer, if they have like the quantum computer, whatever, they can have like in seconds.
Yep.
So would you wait? Would you prefer to wait a month or 10 seconds to give the patient an answer
And
about the treatment?
yeah, and that's where I guess that we are doing, by the way, an excellent job on this field, because uh, um, there are so many well, first of all, there's a framework to follow, exactly, to first of all remove the bias from any decision, right, that we are talking about, and to be the as fair as it can possibly be, uh, uh, and of course, and that's the cool thing about what we're doing now. We give the power of the decision, of the insight, back to the person. Like, hey, I have analyzed the last 50 years of case, 34,000 of patients with the exact symptoms. It looks like 99%, as you said, it looks like this. And I would guess, I would say more, that there are these and these characteristics, and that we would address with these treatment. Uh, uh, do you agree? And if the data is there and it is reliable as it is, we're AI is actually helping, right?
Yeah, and that's the point. If it's so helpful, do we need a doctor in the first place? You might need a doctor to do surgeries now, but there is this
Oh, yeah.
Da Vinci robot. It does surgeries remotely.
Yep.
Of course,
Yep.
there is a doctor in the other side of the world doing the maneuvering the thing like a joystick. But in the future, the machine, the Da Vinci robot, will learn by the movements of that surgeon, and will implement machine learn and learn by reprogram by itself. When you get to that point, would you prefer to be operated by a doctor who like shake hands, drank the night before, had a fight with somebody else, a colleague, whatever, it's very stressed, or you prefer to give your life to a robot which has accuracy, they have a huge data, never had any mistake. The only mistake might happen is if the machine stop working in the middle of the operation. That's it. What would you choose?
But
Something that
that's
people,
that's that's, that's really compelling. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
and it's
No,
cheaper. Let's say it's cheaper then because you don't have to have a doctor 24 hours. The doctor doesn't need to be
you
there.
can apply that. You can apply that to any profession, right? So a
Exactly.
mechanic, fixing
The
a house,
hires.
building a house, fixing a car, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
good point.
from that perspective, we are easily replaceable. Uh, polemic question for you: are we in danger? What do you reckon?
I think we still have at least 100 years of surviving time before the machines take over.
Okay.
Unless we, yeah, unless we create a framework to stop them from.
Don't say that. You're going to scare the audience. Don't say that. He's not telling exactly that. Don't worry. Everything will be okay. But I see your point. Go on. Sorry.
As long as we keep control of those machines, we are safe. That's why we need to put guidelines for them to obey as well. Because we obey
Today, right?
laws. Yeah. I mean, we obey laws, but we also disobey laws. That's the bad part of humans.
Yeah.
Machines, no. Machines, they are, if they read the law, they just follow the law, period. Nothing else. However, as you mentioned earlier, there are bad people. There are evil people. they might want machines to kill other people, rob banks,
To
do
do
crazy
that
things.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's something that's
Uh,
gonna happen.
the Unified Modeling Language father, as per se, Grady Borg, he's a genius. He did a talk about artificial intelligence like almost a decade ago, and he was stating something like this. I don't recall exactly what he said, but it was something like, "Don't fear the machines. Worst case scenario, you just plug it off."
Yeah, but if they're a legal person, if you do that, you are killing the machine, and
Oh, sure.
you can be prosecuted if you don't
So
have any
that's
cause.
why it's so vital. It's so important to build guidelines, to create guidelines today, right?
That,
Because
yeah,
when you consider a machine a legal person, as you were saying, after that you can't change anymore, right?
no, it's if it becomes law, it is a law. Yeah, you just have to comply. So that's why they take a little longer. But there will come a time that they have to decide if a robot can be a legal person or not. Let's talk about the case of sex robots. If they are only an appliance, you can do whatever. You can rape, you can destroy, you can kill, whatever. And also, if you have a sex bot, it's not adultery because you're not betraying your partner because it's only a toy and that's it. However, when they become a legal person, to have a relationship with a robot, then you are violating the marital status. So you are betraying your partner. Have you thought about it? So that would be a revolution. So
True.
the industry, sex industry, maybe they don't want them to be a legal person because they might lose money. However, there's a flip side. Let's say you want to buy a sex bot to be your companion. You want to talk to it. That's not like having sex itself. You want to walk with them. You want to have them go shopping, go to the movies. If they're all in appliance, they cannot interact. There is no human robot interaction per se.
Hmm.
So you might say, no, I want to buy a robot for this purpose. So if it's for this purpose of being a companion, it has to be a legal person. Now, if you want to be only appliance, then you can choose to be only a thing for you to use and abuse. So it's up to you to
Oh,
make a call.
I guess I didn't drink enough to understand that. Oh gosh, that's too much, man.
It is
How
tricky.
it's tricky, but you have some valid points, and it is very valid to discuss. We need to discuss this now, right?
Yeah,
Before
we are
before.
late already, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, I guess that you answer my question. Right, the opposite direction. Um, would we be better without them?
Well, I think there is no turning point now because once they're there, they're there. We cannot
Okay.
destroy what is okay. We cannot undone what is done, right? So
I hear.
so I don't know if they're gonna be able to limit their power. What we could do maybe is to set some instructions, boundaries, not to cross. That's something that we can do it right now. But I think without AI, we won't have maybe we'll be less safe to live because now AI is being used by police forces
Yep.
to to find criminals, to secure a place, to prevent crimes. So it's working pretty well with facial recognition. Whatever you go in UK, for example, once you step in the airport, boom, if you're a criminal, you get caught immediately. That's a good part. So, but
Yes. Yeah. Indeed. I
there,
agree. I agree.
there are
Yeah. Lots of.
trade-offs. Yeah, you have to trade off your privacy So you cannot choose, I don't want to be recorded. No, there is no contracting out. Once you step in, you agree to abide by UK law. If you don't want to obey the UK law, you just don't go there. Period. That's it. Like
Yeah,
here in New Zealand, if you don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine. But you don't go to restaurants, you don't go to concerts, you don't do any sports whatsoever. It's up to you.
yep. Yeah, you maintain in a way the free will, but you also tell a message that your free will can impact in the others' freedom as well, right? So from regards to the example about New Zealand that you were talking about, yeah. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I guess yes. We are better with, and from the example about police that you were doing, I was reading a pilot that were being done in the United States, where the cars, the police car, is able to, while running, while driving the streets, identifying registration plates from the cars and anomalous behaviors like speeding. And even if two or three actions occurs at the same time, the AI will be able to tell the driver what is the best action to take from that moment. Someone is speeding up, and there is a expired registration plate number. So which one is the most dangerous thing or happening or incident that you need to chase first, right? So of course, someone is speeding up.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that he's drunk. There's a possibility that he will cause an accident. So yeah, that's for sure. We need to chase that car, not this one. So I can see the benefits on unleashing our cognitive thinking, right? So expanding our possibilities. That's amazing, right? So I'm building a prototype. I was talking with you about it earlier today. I have this smartwatch, and I found a way of putting that online telemetry into Watson IoT platform. So what I will do from there is build a system that combining weather, combining my weight and my nutrition, my diet, and having insights on training, on what to do, how many hours of sleep, so I can be a better athlete. Even knowing that I'm not a professional athlete, I'm an amateur, and I'm not that young anymore. So any run where I twist my ankle, it is 1 week out of game. So that's important to me. So I can see the benefits. So that's amazing.
Yeah, because machines are better in reading people than humans.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, you talk about knowledge. What about consciousness? Do you think machines should have consciousness, or do they have already consciousness? So something that we ourselves maybe don't, sometimes we are not aware of it, because when you talk about being conscious, okay, you have to be conscious about doing what's right and doing what's wrong.
Yep.
So if you can program machines to be conscious, or we can create synthetic consciousness, that's going to be a revolution. So the machine will learn by itself what's the best course of action, what's wrong, what's right. In your case, they might tell you, Abilio, please don't run this direction because it's going to be raining in 10 minutes. Or, please, Abilio, don't run on the sand, because if you do that now, you're gonna twist your ankle because the the sand is too hot. You might be willing to run faster, blah 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 blah. Or even better, if you have like your glycemic, you're gonna say, okay, you need to drink more like sports drinks because you are dehydrated. You need to, machine learning. They will learn by your body better than any physician in the world.
Yeah, by
One
what you
thing,
were describing, it looks like my wife. So yeah, it's pretty annoying, I would say. Yeah, gosh.
yeah, that's true. Be your second wife or your child. Yeah.
Yeah, true. We are running. We're about to run out of time. Any final thoughts that you would like to share, Mauricio?
Well, I think the future is coming. It's unstoppable. So we need to find what would be the best way to treat those new creatures. Would be better be only a appliance rather than a human or a legal person, or you just leave as it is and see what's the future will determine. So that's up to us now to find out before it's too late.
Wow, well, that was amazing. So, well, uh, thank you, Mauricio. I know that it's pretty late for you, so I really appreciate your time to be talking with me. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation.
Of
And
course, Abdul, thank you so much.
yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure.
It's an
Uh,
honor to be here.
oh, good to know. Well, guys, that was it. Episode number 2. Um, this amazing conversation with Dr. Mauricio Kimura, and I will leave his LinkedIn profile in the description of this video, so you guys can take a look and talk to him directly and ask the questions that was not asked here. Please leave your comments, feedbacks. I would love to hear from you. And I guess that's pretty much it. We've done it.
Thank
Thank you.
you. All right, have a good night.